hope everybody's doing well this evening. Welcome back. If you are new, then just welcome. I am Texas Beach Mom or Mama Robin, whichever you prefer. It's entirely up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. But this is my Friday Night Live. So let's just go ahead and get into it. On Friday nights, I typically talk about the Lady Bird Lake deaths. Occasionally, I cover other cases. And here lately, I've kind of been talking about, occasionally talking about the JFK files that were just released, but there really isn't that much with them. Most of them you can pull them online and read yourself. Another case that I talk about occasionally is the Menendez brothers. Basic recap: when they were 18 and 21, they killed both their parents. They went to trial. They had 2 trials. And they were found guilty and they were sentenced to life in prison. And here recently, over the last probably 6-7 months, and their attorney's been trying to get them get them an earlier release date, like get them out on parole and get an earlier release date for them. I think they should at least get resentenced. I think they need to be retried and resentenced. They've already been in prison for 30 years. I'm not saying they're innocent because they're not, but there is proof of abuse that was not allowed in either one of the trials the first time. That it wasn't allowed. Family members that have come forward, there's other people that have come forward. So an attorney is trying to get them possibly retried and resentenced. Hold on. Yuck. It tastes in my mouth. Anyway, so, and a lot of people have mixed emotions about. Some people will come to me and go, "Oh, but they killed their family. They shouldn't be running around loose." Well, I never said they should be running around loose either. I do think that they should be resentenced and possibly be released on parole. And the thing I like to talk about when we talk about this case, the thing I like to point out, I guess, is what I'm looking for, is when Gypsy Rose had Nick go to John, kill her mother for her. Granted, according to her, she didn't participate in the kill, and that's her words. But she did help. She did plan the kill. But, 10 years later, she's out here running around, getting married, and getting puppies, and cheating, and leaving her husband, and getting pregnant, and having baby, and blah, 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 blah. So she's running around, living her best life, and making money hand over fist off of books, TV shows, interviews, whatever. And to the best of my knowledge, based on everything I know about that case, she has done not one thing to improve her life while she was in there, and she didn't do anything to improve her life since she's been out. Matter of fact, she's been kind of a pain in the ass. Anyhow, so she has been running around doing her own thing. Living her own life, not done a damn thing to make her life better. She hasn't done a damn thing to make anybody else's life better. Thank you, Darlene, and hello. I'm glad you made it tonight. We haven't seen you in a while. The original plan was to talk more about Lady Bird Lake. Oh, and by the way, for those who watched it last week, I do not have an update on the most recent victim. Last week it was a 90-year-old, no, not 90, good Lord, a 60-year-old homeless woman, and to the best of my knowledge, is still a 60-year-old homeless woman. Hi, Jody. Honey, if you sent me an email, I didn't get it, or I got it and didn't recognize it. So, I don't know if you misspelled it. You shouldn't have. The thing that people do is on Texas Wildflowers, they don't put the S on it. They don't make it plural. So, you want to try again, that's great. But because if you got it, I either didn't see it or, I don't know, didn't recognize it. But hi, Jody. Hi, Darlene. I'm glad people made it. But anyway, back to last week's. I still don't know anything about the woman that was found in Lady Bird Lake. All we know is that she was a 60-year-old woman. She was apparently homeless. And without doing any examination, the police immediately said, and there was no foul play. Just a homeless woman that died in the lake. But I don't have any updates on that. So this week we went back into the Menendez brothers. Got it. I know I'm shaking my phone. I'm sorry. Let me hold still. So we're back in the Menendez brothers. Okay. So talking about that, like I said, Gypsy Rose is running around being Gypsy Rose. She's making money. She's signing autographs. She's doing books. She's doing promos. She's doing TV shows, whatever. While the Menendez brothers were technically, while they did do the kill, and she supposedly didn't participate at all, they did do the kill. There is no doubt about that. But they were only 18 and 21, not 24. She was 24. Now, granted, she thought she was younger. She was still an adult. Like, all right, you're 24. She thought she was, 21? Regardless, it makes her an adult. And as I previously said, before people started coming in, she hasn't done a damn thing to improve her life or anybody else's. The Menendez brothers have done a lot to improve their own life. I do believe that they both have college degrees. I do believe that one of them is married. I think the youngest one, Eric, is married. I don't know if Lyle is or isn't. But they've not only done things to improve their life, they've worked very hard within the system to improve the lives of prisoners and their families. And I think they've tried to set up a couple of charities for kids or something. I mean, they've done a lot. So let's go back to them. So as I said, they have been trying for months now to get a retrial and to get their sentence reduced. Instead of having life, there has been new documents come out on Miss Gypsy Rose. Everything. Well, yeah, we're not surprised. Here's the thing, since you brought up Gypsy Rose again, and that's kind of my fault because I was just talking about it. With Miss Gypsy Rose, and I'm not defending her, but I'm also not fully putting her down either. She was taught to lie and manipulate. She was taught by her mother to lie and manipulate, and she's probably going to do that the rest of her life. You know, you would think being in prison, she would think about her mistakes and what she did and try to make her life better and possibly other people's lives, and she's not done that, and she's not going to do that. That's why I think even though she didn't, or says she didn't do the actual kill, even though she says she didn't participate and do the actual kill, that she just planned it, which, bad enough, I still think that if she can run around and do TV shows and movies and books and have babies and wreck marriages, jeez, what a mess. And that's something else. When she first came out, I defended her. I felt bad for her. I'm like, no, this girl was badly abused. And she was. I'm not doubting that. But I don't know, man. Because there's paperwork on the abuse. There's actual documentation on some of the abuse. From the doctor's offices, from all the time she went to doctor and had different things done. But, okay, away from Gypsy for a minute. Back to the Menendez. Okay, so everybody knows who's followed this story, even in the slightest, that they did a lot in prison for themselves. They've done a lot outside of prison, to help other people in prison, families, kids, whatever. And they have been for months, we're trying to get a resentencing to possibly get out on parole because they've already been in there 30 decades. And the old DA was shooting for it, and the new DA is going, nope, I don't recommend they be loose. However, the new DA, while he doesn't recommend they be loose, he has told the judge, it is up to you. Now, there was supposed to be a court hearing in December, and then it was supposed to be put off in January. Then it was supposed to be March, and it still hasn't happened. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Yeah, but her mother wasn't medically abusing her. Turns out every procedure Gypsy had done was necessary. Dee Dee is guilty of exaggerating her illnesses, but not harming her. And okay, I'm done. Now, see, that part I haven't kept up on because, to be perfectly honest, when it comes to Gypsy, I don't watch much stuff about her. I would agree they deserve another trial and resentencing on the other hand of Mr. Peterson. Oh, see, that's another case I need to kind of go into a little bit, is Scott Peterson, because he thinks he deserves to run around free. He deserves to run around free as much as Chris Watts deserves to run free, and neither one of them need it. They both need to stay where they're at. But I do agree that the Menendez brothers does, and I think most of the people that watch this or watch me, and hello Angela, since I didn't say anything, I think most of the people that watch it, watch me or follow the case, agree that they at least deserve a resentencing. See, I can't speak. I never can talk. I don't know why I do this, because I can't talk. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So they have done a lot to improve their life. They really have. They've done a lot to improve their lives, their brother's lives. We just discussed that. I'm losing my train of thought. That's part of getting old, I think. Anyhow, because they have been trying, and the old DA was for it, and the new DA is not, but there's been a judge, and there's supposed to be hearings, and da-da-da-da-da, and there hasn't been hearings. I did find an article from the Los Angeles Times that I think we're going to go over tonight. So here, let me turn this around. I don't want to make myself bigger. There we go. Okay, I'll do my best to keep it still and allow people to see it for the most part while I read this. Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman moved to stymie a bid for freedom from Eric and Lyle Menendez, ignores the facts of the case, and is motivated by political self-interest. The brother's attorney argued in a new court filing. Okay, so the attorney is saying that the new district attorney, that politics is getting in the way, which it probably is. It gets in the way of a lot of other things. Hochman's predecessor, George Gascon, I'm trying my best to hold this still and still read. George Gascon sought resentencing for the brothers in the 1989 shotgun murders of their parents. Before losing to Hochman in November's election, Gascon asked the judge to rescind the Menendez sentences of life without the possibility of parole. Well, so far they still could. That's what I was just talking about. They were supposed to have a court date in January, and then it got put off in December, then it got put off to January, then it got put off to March, and now we're in the beginning of April. Still hasn't been done, but like I said, the old DA was for it, the new DA said he's not for it, but he did say he would leave it up to the judge. So there is a judge sitting out there that has been handed their case, and he gets to decide what their life is going to be like going forward. He urged to be given 50 years to life since they were youthful offenders, 18 and 21. And that's the reason why I bring up Miss Gypsy, because she was 24. These kids were 18 and 21. She wasn't even abused, and these boys were mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally. They were abused on in every possible way. And there's proof of it now that wasn't allowed in court and da da da. So we know that. So anyway, he earns benefits since they were youthful in 1821 when they gunned down Jose and Kitty Menendez in their Beverly Hills home. Sentencing can make them eligible for parole and lead to their freedom after three decades in jail. Since Hockman took over the district attorney, he opposed the brothers getting a new trial, and last month filed a motion to rescind Gascon's resentencing request. However, like I said, he did file that, but he did finally tell the judge, "Fine, you know what? You do what you need to do." So he's not messing with it anymore. But the attorney feels like this Hockman guy is only after political gain, which very likely. Hockman said when filing his motion that the brothers had repeatedly lied about the crime. Hockman said, oh, the new DA. When filing, my hand is wanting to collapse here. I don't know why. We'll hold it up with two hands. Hockman said when filing this motion that the brothers repeatedly lied about the crime, even claiming the murders were carried out by the mafia. He did. They did lie about it. They did say that the mafia might have had something to do with it. They were scared. I mean, they were 18 and 21, and they were terrified. I'm not saying that what they did was right. I'm not saying they should be running around loose free as a bird, but they should really at least get parole. I'm sorry. He questioned whether their self-defense claims were valid. Their purported actual fear of their mother and their father were going to kill them that night of the murders. Hold on, folks. They did say that they were in fear that they were going to die that night, and the DA is questioning the validity of that statement. I get that. I don't think they would have been killed that night. Like I don't think so, but I wasn't in the house and I don't know. I only know what all the papers reported, what the TV reported. I don't know. I do think that Dad would have got him. Maybe not that night, but he would have got him. So I think they had every right to live in fear. Like, I believe that was a thing. Hockman said the brothers had not demonstrated complete insight and acceptance of responsibility of their crime, that the previous prosecutor team ignored significant rule violations in prison. Okay, well, whatever. I can't hold still tonight. The brothers' lawyers, led by Mark Garagos and Cliff Gardner, paint Hockman's action as motivated by politics, not legal reasoning as the law requires. The question is whether the records show decision to withdraw the request for resentencing. The motion was based on legitimate reasons, they write, or instead a change of political winds. That could be it. I mean, I don't know. They point to Hockman's reassignment. Excuse me. They point to Hockman's reassignment of two prosecutors, Nancy the Berg and Brock Lunsford, who worked with Gascon on the Menendez motion and recommended the brothers be freed. Now, again, I'm not saying they should run around and get to top out and run around willy-nilly. I do think they should be on parole, though. They've done 30 years. They were abused. It's not like Gypsy. They were actually abused. Too many family members have come forward. Too many witnesses. Too many people have stepped up and said, yeah, Jose Menendez was crazy. Hockman appointed a private attorney, Kathy Caddy, as the head of the DA's Victim Service Unit. Caddy represented the only Menendez relative that voiced the opposition to resentencing the brothers. Her client, Milton Anderson, was Kitty Menendez's brother and has since died. Okay, so the lady that the DA wanted to be special counsel over this represented the only member of the family that didn't like them. She didn't represent any family members that wanted them out, because there was like 20 people in their family that signed shit and were protesting, and they were in front of the courthouse and doing stuff. So there was at least like 20 people in the family that did want them out, and they did have one uncle that said, nope, They should be there. I don't know why one uncle would and the others didn't, but alright, whatever. The defense attorneys say Hockman is trying to rewrite history. The motion to withdraw contains serious factual and legal errors, the attorneys write, and it ignores Eric and Lyle's constant taking of responsibility and expressions of remorse. They have expressed remorse. I'm sorry. DA Hockman, they have expressed remorse. And as I stated in the beginning of this one, the middle of this one, and any other time I've talked about them, they have done a lot of things to help out other people, themselves, and anyone else that needs. They have tried to improve their lives. They've accepted their fate and just lived within the system and did what they can to improve things. I should have gone to school to be an attorney. That was my goal. When I first graduated high school, I wanted to be an attorney. I probably should have done it. I probably would have made a damn good one. Hockman, the defense team notes, continue to focus falsehoods. Told the aftermath of the crime, and during the 1993 and 1996 trials, the defense acknowledges the pair had lied to try to fabricate evidence. But 3 decades later, they have been forthcoming about the crime. Like I said, yeah, initially, they did lie some. Initially, they said a lot of shit that they shouldn't have said. They were scared. That doesn't mean that they're right, but they were scared. I was just talking to my own children about this, or my youngest child about this. Kids tend to lie when they're scared. They panic. They lie. You learn as an adult that that doesn't work, and you take responsibility and you fix your shit. And yeah, they were 18 and 21, so they were technically adults, but they were still very young adults, and to the best of my knowledge, they lived an extremely sheltered life. They really didn't have that much knowledge of the typical, like what typical life was like for other people. They lived very rich, but they also lived very, very sheltered. They didn't have a lot of experience with shit. In 1989, the Menendez brothers bought a pair of shotguns with cash, walked into the Beverly Hills mansion, shot their parents while they were watching a movie in the family living room. Jose Menendez was struck 5 times, and Kitty Menendez crawled across the floor wounded before the brothers reloaded and fired a fatal blast. Prosecutors during the trials argued the murders were motivated by a multi-million-dollar inheritance, when the defense argued it was a form of self-defense after years of sexual abuse by the father. Hockman's motion to withdraw the resentencing request maintains that Eric, now 54, and Lyle, now 57, pose an unreasonable risk of danger to their community. I don't agree with that. I don't think that they're an unreasonable risk of danger to their community. The lawyer says, but make no reference to them having scored the lowest. But makes no reference to them having scored the lowest felony risk assessments with scores of 0. They further say that the rules violations the DA has referenced are petty and were made over the course of decades in prison. Hockman has cited Governor Gavin Newsom's decision to deny Sirhan parole for the murder of Robert F. Kennedy, saying the Menendez brothers lack insight about the crime is comparable to RFK killer. No. RFK didn't sexually abuse and verbally abuse Sirhan. So no, that's not the same thing. That's not even in the same ballpark. That's not even the same neighborhood. That's no. That thinking, that theory that would be similar, would be implying that Sirhan killed RFK because he was abused by RFK. No, because he wasn't. Oh, good Lord. Okay. But Garagos and the brothers' legal team says that Sirhan, over the years, flip-flopped about his guilt, and while in prison, insisted he was innocent. The Mendezes, however, owned their crimes since their conviction, the attorneys say, citing, quote, during the brothers' 1996 Barbara Walters interview, "What we did was awful and I wish we could go back." Now, my question to them would be, if you could go back, would you have still killed your parents? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not even going to speculate because they went through a lot. The brothers' lawyers repeatedly noted that some 30 members of the family supported their release. Okay, I had said 20. Apparently, I'm wrong, and it was 30, which was fine. I mean, I made a mistake. Release and claimed that Hockman misunderstood what the two trials of Eric and Lyle were about, arguing that both the prosecution and the defense recognized that the question of sexual abuse was the centerpiece of the whole case. I also remember during that trial that there was lots of things about the sexual abuse that their original attorney, and I cannot remember the woman's name, but the original attorney wanted to bring certain things in, and the judge would not let her. She wanted to talk about certain things. They wanted to talk to certain witnesses. They wanted to talk to family members, and that shit was not allowed. And I remember mentioning this before, other times when I've covered this case. Back then, when this happened, there were people on the jury, mostly men, but there were people on the jury making comments like, well, how were they raped if they were gay? Well, first of all, nobody said they were gay. And second of all, even if they were, they can still be raped. Oh my God, that thinking is just, are you serious? But whatever. And another one was like, well, boys can't be raped. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Both prosecution and sexual abuse is the centerpiece of the whole case. Resentencing is just one of the three routes the brothers are seeking for freedom. They are pursuing a new trial, citing new evidence, a letter written to a cousin by one of them prior to the killings that detailed the abuse. That's the letter that was not allowed previously. An allegation by another man, a former member of boy band Menendez, that he was also sexually abused by Jose. And I've seen that interview with him. He talks about that shit. They are also pursuing clemency with Newsom, who has directed that the state parole board to launch a risk assessment. Okay, so they are pursuing clemency with Newsom. And Newsom has directed the state parole board to launch a risk assessment to whether the brothers would pose a risk. That would be the first bid, and that would be the first step in the bid for clemency. Okay, so that's cool. I can deal with that because what they're doing for a possible road to freedom is they're asking for clemency. And Newsom is doing a responsible thing. He's asking the parole board to go over their case, assess their risk, and see if they would be okay if released. Okay, good for you. Good for you, Newsom. If the brothers were to receive clemency and eventually have a parole hearing, if the brothers were to receive clemency and eventually have a parole hearing, Hockman said he would oppose their release. Okay, so the DA has already said that even if Newsom considers this, he's going to oppose it. Okay, so here's the problem I'm foreseeing on that. Hold on a minute. Let's just flip things back around. Yes, hello. There's one of the dogs. That's Duchess. She's asleep. She was. Anyhow, so hold on. The DA is talking about if they try to get clemency, the DA is going to say nope, they shouldn't have it. Now he's letting it up to the judge, but if the governor tries to give clemencies, he's going to go nope, I don't think it should have it. Okay, so here's my thing. If the DA is that against them, and it sounds like the DA is that against them, if they get loose or on parole or clemency or whatever, I'm wondering if this particular DA is going to make, here, I'm going to do something. Hands free. I'm wondering if this DA is going to make their life miserable if they do get out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here going, So they were supposed to have a date in December, and it got put off to January. They were supposed to have a court date in January. It got put off to March, and that one got put off. Okay. The DA, the old DA was all for it. Hold on, I'm gonna move a little bit. I gotta get there. Sorry, don't mean to keep jerking the camera around. Okay, so if the old DA was for it, and he got voted out, and the new DA's in, and he's already said he's against it. So my question then, as I started to go into, was, is this DA, if they do get on the parole, is this DA going to harass them? Is he going to bother them? Is he going to try to make their life miserable? Or is he going to, as long as they stay peaceful, is he going to let them live their life? That would be my next concern. If I was their attorney and I knew the DA was against them being loose and I knew the DA didn't like it. So my concern would be, is this DA going to let them live their life as long as they're quiet and they behave themselves? Or is this DA going to try to make their life miserable if they are loose? And if the DA is trying to be a genuine pain in the ass, which is what I foresee, what can their attorney do about it? Like, is there legal steps the attorney can take to protect them from being harassed all the time? Or is this something that every time there's an incident, they have to go to their attorney and get the attorney to do something about it, if he can? So to me, that's my next question. Whether they get parole by a judge or they get clemency by the governor. And he is, like I said, he's doing the right thing. He's looking into it. He's having a parole board do a risk assessment. So, yeah, is this DA actually that horrible? Is he going to fuck with them every time they do something, every time they breathe, cough, fart, whatever? Is he going to be up their ass all the time? I wonder if that's something to be concerned about. It sounds like it might be. I don't know, but I would like to see them at least get parole. I would. I don't agree with them killing their parents, but I don't agree with their parents molesting them and beating them and abusing them either. I do believe that people get to a point where they can't take no more, and sometimes they don't even see a way out. Sometimes they don't understand, or they panic, or they're scared, and they don't see the correct way out. I get that. And that's one of the other things that makes them very different than Gypsy Rose. Not only did Gypsy Rose lie about a lot of things, and it's still probably out there lying about shit. And Gypsy Rose didn't do, in her words, didn't do the actual, I didn't do the actual kill. She's running around wreaking havoc. And yet 2 young men who were younger, they did do the actual kill though, are still in prison. Of course, that brings me back to Nick Godejohn. If she's running around loose, I think he deserves a resentencing and a possibility of parole. Because while, from what I understand about the case, or what I understand about what I read about Nick Godejohn, while he was creepy and weird and did weird shit like masturbating in McDonald's, I don't think he would have killed Dee Dee without Gypsy's urgent guiding, her planning, her plotting, to whatever you want to call it. So I'm wondering, even though we're not talking about Menendez at the moment, I'm now wondering if Nick Godejohn needs a new trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm wondering if he needs a new trial. I've also been wondering if Gypsy just should go back. I think at the very, very minimum, she should have state, it should be like a judge should appoint, should make her do therapy. Because now that newest concern, not only did she lie and shit, but now one of the newest concerns is she's either had the baby already. See, I don't keep track of it, so I think she's had the baby already. Everybody probably knows, and I don't. She's had a baby, if I understand right, and it was a girl. So she's going to raise her girl the way she was raised. She's already lying and manipulating the way she was taught. So it does make me wonder if she's going to raise that poor baby the way she was raised. And is that baby going to grow up and kill her? I don't know. I know that's just a dark rabbit hole that I just went down while I'm sitting here talking to people, but I think it's a worthwhile question. I wasn't planning on talking about Gypsy Rose tonight, but I do have a tendency to compare Gypsy Rose case to the Menendez case when I'm talking about the Menendez brothers. Because there's obviously some differences, but there's obviously some similarities. I don't know, man. I don't know, but I hope. So now we know we're caught up on the Menendez. The DA is against them getting out, but he did say he would leave it to the judge. However, if the governor decides to give them clemency, which he might, he's against that too. So I don't fucking know. I don't have any clue what this DA person is going to do, this Hockman. He is supposed to be a heavily conservative DA, which might be why he won. I'm having a hard time with it because that's California. I'm like, how the hell did a heavily conservative DA win? I don't know. Maybe they're tired of the crime. They thought a stronger DA would do more about that. Problem is, I don't think he's going to be fair with the people that need to be treated. I don't know anything about the man. I need to quit speculating. That's not fair. I just know what I've read. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a lot on the Menendez case, and I probably won't. I don't have anything. I haven't kept up with Gypsy Rose at all. So thank you, Darlene, for giving me an update. I'll have to look into that. We might even talk about that next Friday night. Said I don't know, because now you've got me curious. You've got me wondering what all was released. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got me wondering. I want to know now what was released. Lady Bird Lake, as I said last Friday, there was a 60-year-old homeless woman that was found dead around 9:30 in the morning. And it's about the right, well, they've been happening usually late winter or early spring, so it's about the right time of year. And sometimes there's only the one, and sometimes there's a couple back to back. If there's a couple back to back, then it might be another body popping up in the lake here soon. I don't know. But all I know about the most recent one from last week was she's a 60-year-old homeless woman. The police immediately, without any investigation, said, nope, there's no foul play. Just another drowning. Didn't happen. So nobody believes that. So, because that was my question last week, was okay. So she's a 60-year-old homeless woman. What the fuck was she doing in Lady Bird Lake? I mean, if they found her at 9:30 in the morning, she apparently had died that night, the previous night. I don't even know the time of death. They haven't released her name. They haven't released her time of death. They haven't released anything about her. So, Lady Bird Lake, the 60-year-old woman. So, what was a 6-year-old homeless woman? And I said this too about the 72-year-old woman they found dead. What was they doing? What was she doing at Lady Bird Lake in the middle of the night and then in March? Now, I did do some research, and I found out that the water temperature in Lady Bird Lake this time of year is about 70 degrees. But that feels cold. It sounds, when you're talking about outside temperatures, like that feels warm. 70 degrees feels pretty warm, as nice. But lake water at 70 degrees, especially at night, is going to feel very cold. So and there's no swimming allowed in Lady Bird Lake. Being homeless, I guess there was a chance that she might have been trying to clean up. Oh yeah, there's been a recent death last week. There was a 60-year-old woman found dead at 9:30 in the morning. She was found face down in the lake around 9:30 in the morning. The police immediately said, "Nope, nothing to see here. No foul play, just another accidental death at Lady Bird Lake." Well, now that makes 17. Really, Austin police, how many people have to die at Lady Bird Lake before you start going, you know what? I think we have a problem here. Oh, I know. They always say no foul play, with the exception of like one that was shot. Almost all the others have been, nope, no foul play. Nothing to see here, folks. We're good. Not a problem. How many deaths? So let me. I know nobody from the Austin Police Department is going to see this, but seriously, Austin Police, how many people have to accidentally drown in a lake where there's no swimming in either late winter or early spring, most of them being men, and most of them being Hispanic between the ages of 25 and 35? How many fucking people have to drown in a lake in a 2.5 year time span before you put on your thinking caps and go, there seems to be a problem here. There looks like there might be a problem. I think we might have a situation on our hands. Oh, that what before the investigation was even started, they said no foul play. None. Zero, zilch, nada. If you're not investigating it, how the fuck do you know? Now again, her name hasn't been released, or if it has, I haven't found it yet. It was Ford Sanders, that journalist guy. He's the one that reported it last week, but he didn't have her name last week. And most people would go swimming with friends. You're absolutely right. Or like I said before, let's say it's a group of guys and they're out partying by the lake and one of them falls in. Their friends are going to go in after them. I'm sorry. I would think they would. So how many men have been drunk, and supposedly these men are drunk and they stagger in, but families are saying that it looks like they were drugged. So, how many times do people have to die in the same lake before Austin police go, you know what? I think we have a problem. Seriously. So, I don't know. Most people go swimming with their friends. If maybe they got drunk and they decide to go to the lake and go sit out there by the lake and finish drinking or smoke a joint or whatever. Have sex with some stranger. I don't know. But most people will not be out there alone in the middle of the night. And as I've tried to show before in other videos, that lake is very, 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 very dark at night. Like very dark. I don't know, man. And let's go back to the 60-year-old lady. Was the 60-year-old lady out partying? Was she out rolling with her homies? Was she bar hopping? She was a homeless woman. So chances are, no, she wasn't out bar hopping. She might have been trying to clean up, like using the lake water to kind of clean up a little bit if she didn't have a way to clean up anywhere else. Maybe she fell in. Maybe she couldn't swim. Maybe the current pulled her. There's a river that feeds into it, so there is a little bit of a current. Maybe she's not a strong swimmer. Maybe she went in to clean herself, staggered, fell in, and the current pulled her under. There's a lot of maybes in that one. There's a ton of maybes. And yes, she doesn't fit the typical criteria or whatever. She is a 60-year-old woman. There's only been like 3 women total. 2 of them been older women, and they've both been homeless. But why would she be in? So if she was found at 9:30 at night, or 9:30 in the morning, she had to have probably died either late night, early in the morning. Okay. And again, I don't even know the time of death because nothing that I can find has been released. But let's just say, for argument's sake, she died, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever, while it was dark. What was a 60-year-old woman doing Lady Bird Lake in the middle of the night? I think she died body was found on a Tuesday, which would have mean she would have died Monday night, or late Monday night, early Monday, or early Tuesday morning. So there's no reason for these. And yes, as I've discussed 1,000 times talking about Lady Bird Lake, it's happening in other cities. It's happening in Chicago. It's happening in a lot of other places. They're finding dead bodies, mostly men, and the water, and they're all saying, no, it's an accidental drowning. Even if it wasn't a bunch of other places, even if it was just Austin. Maybe for a minute, let's pretend there's nobody else having problems with it. It is literally just Austin. Maybe there is a place, but let's right now just say it's just Austin. Again, I cannot stress this enough. How many people have to accidentally drown in 2.5 years, over a time span of 2.5 years, before the police think we have a situation on our hands? I mean, I know the Austin police cannot be that dumb. The Lady Bird Lake stuff is the strangest thing I've ever seen. Different victims, a police force that refuses to acknowledge the problem. Just strange. Well, first of all, and like I said, it is not just Austin. It's been happening in Chicago, and I think somewhere in Michigan, and I know in somewhere in New York. But nonetheless, it's all been situations where you've had a lake area, you've had people partying area, you've had food truck area, and typically men, between the ages of 25 to 35, have been showing up dead. There has been a few women, but even the women, even they don't fit the criteria or whatever the word is I'm looking for that I'm drawing a blank on, even if the women don't fit because they're not men between 25 and 35, or they're not Hispanic, that's still odd for a 60-year-old woman to be at Lady Bird Lake and die between midnight and 8 a.m. Because I don't know when she died. What the fuck was she doing there? I even kind of get the men. Because all these places have been near partying areas, bars, restaurants, food trucks, whatever. Whether it's been in Chicago, whether it's been in Michigan, wherever it's been, or whether it's been in Illinois, and I'm naming states and cities, I'm getting mixed up here, but whether it's been happening in Chicago, Illinois, and I don't remember the name of the town in Michigan. I don't think it was Detroit, I don't remember the name of it. Somewhere in New York. There's a lot of suspicious drownings here. Yeah, I was just mentioning the Chicago ones. That's what I'm saying. This is, first of all, it's not just Austin, Texas. It's happening in various places. It's happening in various places. It's happening to typically as a very specific group of men. May not always be Hispanic, but typically, dark hair, dark eyes. The argument that the police are making is that they're drunk, they're staggering into the lake. All right, and I've said this every fucking time. Let's just take Lady Bird Lake for a minute, because I know that area a little bit. I know it better than anywhere else. So let's take Lady Bird Lake. Yes, it's a party area. Lots of college kids. Bars. They line up all over the place. 6th Street, 7th Street, 8th Street. This happened on 9th and Congress. Okay, which is still down in that area. Rainy Street is a big party area. You've got all kinds of bars, restaurants, food trucks, blah, blah, blah. College kids running around, drinking. But Lady Bird Lake is several blocks from Rainey's, or that part of Lady Bird Lake. Lady Bird Lake, first of all, is a huge lake. It's got a river that feeds into it. Okay. You've got all these kids down there between the ages of, I would say, 18 to 30 years old. Typically, some older, probably some younger. But you've got an range because, like I said, that's a college town. It's also Austin is also the live music capital of the world, of the United States. I don't think of the world, but of the United States. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on. You got your college kids, you got your people that are just into live music. You've got musicians, you've got bartenders, you've got waitresses, you've got all kinds of people down there. And apparently these men are getting drunk and staggering blocks away to a path and then stumbling down a path past the grass and past the trees and through the weeds and into a lake. I don't get it. I do not get it. I do not understand it in the slightest. I don't understand how this is happening. I've seen Lady Bird Lake. I take that back. I've seen parts of it. I've only been down parts of it once. It's so similar to the Riley String Place. And yeah, I know. Yeah. You've mentioned that before. Now, after you mentioned that last time, I did do a little bit of light research. Didn't really find anything yet. But Nashville might be a new place. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not hearing a lot about it yet because maybe it's only been one or two bodies. So I'm not finding a lot of information. But since it's happening in Chicago, it's happening in Austin, it's happening somewhere in Michigan, it's happening somewhere in New York, and now supposedly Nashville. Nashville might be a new ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be like the new ground now. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me about that. It gives me more to dip into. So, this Lady Bird Lake thing, that's the one I pretty much stick to for this reason. This is just very confusing to me. I do not understand how this is happening. Yes, we covered Gypsy and Menendez brothers. We're back on Lady Bird Lake. We're going to stay here. That's why I cover this so much. Because it is so bizarre. And in all the places I've mentioned, whether it's been Austin, Chicago, somewhere in Michigan, somewhere in New York, and I think I forget where else. I think there's been a couple other places. I can't remember all the places off the top of my head right now. That's the ones that stick in my mind because that's the ones mostly covered. Okay. And as I just said, Nashville might be a new stomping ground. It might be a new area. And you'll have to bear with me because right now my brain is brainstorming. So it's actively moving on this right now. Okay, so you have given me a thought. There was one body last week in Lady Bird Lake. So it could be another one coming up soon because most of them have been falling, like I said, in late winter, early spring. We're kind of getting a little too warm now. So probably no more. Sometimes it's just a one, and sometimes there's a couple back to back within a week or so. So I kind of want to wait and see on this Austin one if another one pops up. But now Nashville is another area for me to start looking at. I think we might have a new ground. Because it is similar. I remember you bringing it up before, and I did a little bit of light research, and it's similar. And in every single place we mentioned, the local police immediately write it off. No foul play, whether it's been Chicago, wherever. The police all kind of do the same thing. The local police, all of them do the same thing. It's just people, bad luck or bad timing, wrong place, wrong time.
Hi, it's your phone speaking. You have a new message.
It's getting close to 10 o'clock though, so it shouldn't be it won't do it after 10. That doesn't help you guys any. But what I was saying was, see, the phone made me lose my train of thought because I was brainstorming. No. First of all, I kind of want to see if another one pops up in Austin, like I was trying to say, and I want to keep an eye on Nashville now. I know what next week's going to be about. Thank you. I need to write this down real quick. While I'm brainstorming, I'm going to write this down so that I can do some more research this week. Nashville research lake. That's enough for me to get started. Anyhow. I heard the way they were putting a fence up by the lake in Nashville. Apparently it's happened before. Okay, thank you for that. That gives me more information. So, as I said, we may have a new spot. The two most popular theories with any of these lakes is it's either a serial killer in the area that's killing people, or a serial killer killing people out of the area and then dumping them in the lake. Both of them are possibilities. And I've noticed that the majority of them, there's not just bars, but there's food trucks. And in a few of these, in Lady Bird Lake, now Texas, and I'm sure other states too, but I know Texas, we have more than our fair share of food trucks here. It's like a thing. I didn't even know what a food truck was till I moved to Texas. Now I'm very familiar with them. But I'm wondering, because there's been quite a few cases where the person was seen at a food truck. After they left the bar, they ended up at a food truck, and then they were found dead. So I'm wondering if anybody from the food truck had anything. I mean, I don't know. Since the police aren't doing their job, obviously, I'm kind of trying to do their job for them. I mean, and they were supposed to put fencing up at Lady Bird Lake, and they haven't done that yet. They claim they don't have enough money. Well, I can't guarantee that they do or don't, but I know with all the money Austin brings in for like things like South by Southwest, what's the other two big ones? The only thing I remember right now off the top of my head is South by Southwest. But all the money that Texas brings in, and tourism for their live music and their festivals and stuff, you would think they have enough money to put up a fence around the lake. I don't know. Maybe it would prevent more people from accidentally falling in and drowning. It might even prevent people from being dumped unless they're being dumped from the Congress Bridge. Like if the person's parking on the Congress Bridge and tossing them off the bridge and landing in the lake, because a lot of them are found near the Congress Bridge. So it is a possibility. Again, I'm brainstorming. It is a possibility that these people aren't being killed at the lake. They're being killed somewhere else and dumped off the bridge. And if I remember right, and I could be wrong because I could be misremembering, but if I remember correctly, sorry, if I remember correctly, I apologize, I didn't mean to yawn and start a whole chain of yawning. If I remember correctly, these other places were near bridges too, or some of them were. So, I got on my thinking cap. Maybe it is more of a thing where they're killing them somewhere than dumping them off the bridge and into the lake. There's so many unanswered questions on this one. Why is it in so many different places? Why is it at lakes? Why are they men mostly, 25 to 35? Why are they Hispanic, or they look like they could be Hispanic? Why do they look like they could be college students? Yes, there's been a few homeless women here and there or whatever, or homeless men, but the majority of them follow the same thing. So, what are we doing here, folks? Why is Austin police? And this is something that when we were watching the videos from Lore Lodge, something he brought up, something the other videos are brought up. What's going on and why are the Austin police dismissing these so quickly? Is nope, nothing going on here. Nothing to see, folks. Everybody go back to your own business. I know they want to keep it quiet, and I know they don't want to scare the public because they do. Austin depends heavily on tourism. Actually, Texas as a whole depends heavily on tourism, but especially like Austin, Dallas, Galveston, Houston, things like that. Corpus Christi. Um, I'm laughing kind of to myself because I'm realizing now that I lived in here. I can spot the tourist, but it's kind of a game. But no, seriously, Texas as a whole counts a lot on tourism, but especially your other areas, and Austin in particular because it has so much live music, festivals. South by Southwest is the only one I can think of, but I know there's a couple others. I just can't think of them. Not that that's pertinent, but so yeah. You, darling, have given me research for next Friday because I think there's a good chance that this Nashville is another possibility. Nashville might be a new possibility. At the lake, you just said so. If there's a bridge anywhere near it, it's a party area. If there's bars, food trucks, you know what I'm saying? Could be a thing. You have actually given me research for next Friday. I want to delve into the Nashville because I've kind of touched on the Michigan some, and I can start doing research on Chicago and Michigan and da 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 da. So, here, hold on. Since I'm brainstorming, give me a minute. Let's see, Nashville. Wrong pen. Nope, wrong pen. Let's see, Chicago, Michigan. I got things to cover between now and next week. But that's about it. We originally started talking about Lady Bird Lake. And, or not Lady Bird Lake. Actually, not even Gypsy Rose. We're talking about Menendez brothers. We went through that. As that develops, I of course will update on that. I've not had a lot of interest in the JFK files so much. I mean, if people want, somebody wants me to do a video about them, I'll do another one. Or you can look them up online. It's a lot of redacted, there's even some stuff where markers are written through it, and there's some areas that because the paperwork is old, it's just very hard to read. I've tried looking it up online. It's just a lot. It's a lot of pain in the ass. So, and then we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody that came in tonight. Darlene, I always look forward to seeing you. Next week, we might be talking about the Nashville thing. So thank you. Depends on what I find. Yeah. For those paying attention, for those watching it now or watching it later, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please, please, please. I need 2 more subscribers to meet my goal of 500. 2. I'm at 498. I need 2 more subscribers. So somebody grab somebody and say, hey, subscribe. Like, subscribe, share, do all the neat things for me, please, 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 because I'm almost at my 500 goal. You know, when I first started doing this, I didn't even think I would see 500. So thank you to the people that subscribe. I really didn't think I would see that. So thank you. As usual, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. If it's your anniversary, happy anniversary. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Make good choices. I will be back next Friday, hopefully with a report on Nashville or Michigan or Chicago, because now I've got more to look at. Thank you again. Wednesday, I don't have anything planned for Wednesday just yet. Crime Catalyst has done another video on the Nicole Kessinger sighting. It's more of a, this is what she looked like, a comparison, like this is what she looked like at the time, This is what she supposedly looks like now. So you can kind of see a lot of side by sides. I think we had a Nicole sighting. I do. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think we had a Nicole sighting. Just because she looks like she's gained weight doesn't mean it's not Nicole. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I talked about that Wednesday where she showed up at a funeral. I talked about it Wednesday's video, and I mentioned now. Oh, has it been confirmed? It's been confirmed. Really, it's been confirmed that it's her. Well, holy shit. She was at, her mom's friend's funeral. That much I did know. I know that this person was at the mom's friend's funeral. I didn't know it was confirmed yet, so thank you. There's been many jokes about her gaining weight, her not doing her clean eating and her macros anymore. Could be that. It could be that as she gets older, she's just gained weight as women typically do. It could be she's pregnant. I don't know. But as I said in Wednesday's video, and I'll probably say it, it's coming Wednesday, and I'm going to say it now. Nicole, if you're out there somewhere and you know people have seen you, if you're innocent, come forward. It was at funeral chapel in Billings, Montana. Oh, holy shit! All right. What the fuck was she doing in Billings, Montana? Is there a lake out there? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Because I had a whole different train of thought on that one. So, yeah. I don't know if we'll talk more about the Nicole thing on Wednesday. We might not. I don't know yet. Depends on what I find out. But Crime Catalyst has got a couple of shorts. Oh, you found the obituary. Well, shit, fire and save matches, Darlene. You should be doing my research. Unfortunately, honey, I can't afford to pay you. So, I have to do my own research. I think that wraps it up. Unless somebody's got questions. Unless somebody's got questions, comments, I think we're wrapping this up. We're calling it a night. There might be more Nicole on Wednesday. I haven't decided yet. I don't know what I'm going to find. There might be a lot more lake stuff on. There will be a lot more lake stuff because I'm going to do some more research on different places. Because right now, Austin, Texas, even though there was just a body last week, unless something happens in the next, between now and then, it's right now, it's kind of a dormant thing. But it is time for me to start looking into other lakes. It is. So let's call this a good night. Please, 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 if you know people that watch me but haven't subscribed, get them subscribed. I'm two away from 500, and that is a goal. So let's get this. Let's get these last two subscribers up there, and then let's maintain that for a while and start climbing again. It can be a bigger family, bigger community. Alrighty. Well, I love everybody. I want everybody to take care. I want everybody to be good. I want everybody to make good choices. Let's not be pushing people off bridges into lakes. That's not good. That's not a good choice. We don't do that here. Anyway, everybody have a great night. I love everybody. Y'all be good.